AI in the classroom isn't some sci-fi movie concept anymore. It's here. It's happening right now. From K-12 all the way up to university, these AI tools are becoming a part of how we learn. And that, well, it brings up a huge, and I mean huge, question about the future of our own minds.
So let's really get into it, because this is the central paradox, right? Is this new tech a revolutionary personal tutor for every single person on the planet, or is it a cognitive crutch? What happens when the tool that's supposed to help us think actually makes thinking a little too easy?
All right, let's start with the promise, the really exciting, optimistic side of things. This is the vision of AI as the ultimate personal brain trainer, a guide that adapts perfectly to the way you think. And to really get how that's even possible, we need to talk about a really key idea in how we learn. Okay, so here's the deal. Think of your brain's working memory like the RAM on your computer. It's got a finite amount of space. And if a lesson tries to shove too much stuff in there all at once, you just crash. Nothing sticks. So cognitive load theory, or CLT, it's basically the science of managing that limited mental bandwidth so that learning can actually happen.
Now, that load on your brain actually comes in 3 different flavors. First, you've got intrinsic load. That's just how hard the topic is. Learning quantum physics is harder than learning basic addition, right? Then there's extraneous load. This is the bad stuff, the mental junk caused by, say, confusing instructions or a really distracting website. And finally, the good stuff, germane load. This is the productive, effortful thinking where you're building connections and creating long-term memories. The whole goal of good teaching is to cut out the bad extraneous load to make more room for that good germane load.
And this is precisely where AI can be a total game changer. An AI tutor can be the perfect manager of your cognitive load. It can sense when you're getting frustrated and dial back the difficulty. It can see you're cruising along and give you a bigger challenge. It gives you feedback right away, breaks down massive topics into tiny, manageable steps. It basically clears away all that useless mental clutter, so your brain can focus on the deep learning that actually matters.
And listen, this isn't just a cool theory. The data is pretty solid on this. One huge review looked at 103 different empirical studies, and the conclusion was clear. AI tools significantly boost student performance and help them remember what they learned. So the promise? Yeah, it's definitely real. But that's only half the story.
So, let's flip the coin. Let's talk about the peril. What happens when this amazing tool becomes something we can't function without? This is the fear of the cognitive crutch, the idea that the very tool designed to make us smarter might ironically be making our brains weaker. The big concept here is something called cognitive offloading. And look, we all do this constantly. Writing a grocery list or setting a reminder on your phone. That's you offloading the task of remembering. It's super efficient. But there's a big difference between offloading a simple to-do list and offloading the actual process of problem solving to an AI. When we do that, we might be robbing our brains of the very workout they need to get stronger. This quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. This is the tightrope we're walking. How do we get all the amazing benefits of AI without accidentally creating a dependency, a generation of students who need an AI to do their thinking for them?
And this is where the research gets fascinating. A study out of the University of Pennsylvania had one group of students practice problems with an AI assistant, and at first glance, the results looked amazing. The students using AI got 48% more problems correct. Faster, more accurate? That seems like a home run, doesn't it?
Well, hold on, because when those same students were given a test on the underlying concepts behind the problems, this time without the AI assistant, their scores were 17% lower than the group who never used AI in the first place. Think about that. They got more answers right, but they understood the why less. They were offloading the thinking, not actually learning the material.
And that study, it's not some weird one-off result. Broader research has found a whole bunch of risks when we rely too heavily on these tools. Things like weaker long-term memory, just passively accepting whatever answer the AI spits out without questioning it, and even this thing called cognitive fixation, where we get stuck on the AI's first idea and our own creative confidence takes a nosedive.
Okay, so we've got this incredible promise on one side and a pretty serious peril on the other. So where do we go from here? The answer isn't to just throw AI out the window. It's to be smart about it, to create a roadmap for integrating it in a way that gives us the best of both worlds.
This framework is a fantastic way to think about it. For cognitive load theory, we use AI to cut out the distracting junk, but we make sure the human is still doing the deep, effortful thinking. For something like Bloom's taxonomy, we let AI handle the lower-level stuff, like summarizing a text, so we humans can focus on the higher-level skills like analyzing it or creating something new from it. It's all about building a strategic partnership where the AI and the human each do what they do best.
So what does that actually look like in a classroom or for a student? Well, it's a pretty straightforward 4-step roadmap. First, figure out where AI can genuinely help. Second, choose your tools carefully. Pick the ones that encourage you to think, not just copy-paste. Third, integrate them with balance, leaving tons of room for good old-fashioned human brain power. And finally, you have to constantly monitor and get feedback to make sure the tool is actually enhancing learning, not just replacing it.
So we've looked at the promise, we've looked at the peril. What's the big takeaway from all of this? It really boils down to one simple but incredibly powerful idea. This is it. This is the North Star. The goal is to use AI as an amplifier for our own intelligence. Let it handle the boring, repetitive grunt work so that our minds are free to do what they do best. Think critically, be creative, and tackle really complex problems. We want to augment our thinking, not outsource it.
And as we move into this new era, there's one last really important thing to remember. This quote says it all. For this to work, it has to work for everybody. The tools we build have to be inclusive, fair, and actually effective for all different kinds of learners. It's a crucial reminder that technology is only as good as its ability to help everyone.
And that leaves us with the big question, the one we all have to grapple with. This is the challenge for every teacher, every student, every parent out there. As this technology becomes more and more a part of our lives, how do we make sure it's a true partner, one that elevates our own intelligence and ensures we become smarter with it, not weaker because of it?